let's get to Knox Williams, if we may. We've got the General Assembly in Virginia special session coming up called by the governor. This is all about trying to take your guns away or whatever else they're going to do there. And Knox Williams is president of the American Suppressor Association, ASA. And I wanted to get him on today to talk a little about this special session coming up on July 9th in Richmond and what he thinks the Democrats are going to do and what the main objective is. We think it's a gun grab, but let's find out from Knox Williams. Hey, Knox, good to have you with us.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So, Knox, you're president of the American Suppressor Association. Now, a lot of people look at gun suppressors, and typically we call them silencers, and they say to themselves, well, why do you need a silencer? I mean, one of the good things about a gun going off loud is, somebody's firing a gun. So even if you're protecting yourself, because the argument of we don't get guns just to hunt squirrels, we have guns so that we can protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. Everybody gets that. But look, Knox, a lot of people say common sense, why do you need silencers? At what point do you what would be the real purpose of putting a silencer on your firearm if you don't mean to do harm to others?
Sure. So I've got a bit of a funny story to lead into that. In one of the early James Bond movies where Sean Connery was Bond, there was a scene where he went diving with a little small breathing apparatus. It was about the size of a lipstick tube. The CIA actually went to the movie producers and said, hey, where did you find that technology? We want to acquire some of that. And they scratched their heads and said, you're kidding, right? CIA said, no, we're very serious. We want to know where you got that. We want to make sure that we can have that technology. And they said, this is a movie. We made it up. It's the same people that made up the noise of what most Americans think a suppressor sounds like, or a silencer, whatever you want to call it. They refer to the same device. It's something that reduces the noise of a gunshot. It does not eliminate it. When you talk the science behind it, guns are very loud. Guns are loud to the point where if you're not wearing proper hearing protection, you will damage your hearing permanently, which is why hunters and recreational shooters exhibit far more noise-induced hearing loss than the general population. With a suppressor, it reduces it to a less dangerous sound level, but it's still loud enough that you should still wear hearing protection devices even when shooting suppressed firearms. The noise is on par with the quietest suppressed gun that you can have with the sound level of a jackhammer striking cement. And I don't know anybody in their right mind who would look at me and say, hey, that noise is too quiet. I don't mind if that's going on around me because I won't be able to hear that. So the facts really just aren't there for the folks who say, hey, these things eliminate the noise. It just simply isn't true.
Okay, Knox, but the Democrats are going to go in this session and they're going to say the guy came to Virginia Beach. He came with firearms, and because of the suppressor on the gun, here's what they're going to say. And it's true, right? Because witnesses have said this. Because of the suppressor on the gun, they really couldn't figure out where the guy was. And so did that cost the additional deaths? And then they're going to say, well, look, if it makes too much noise, where the head suppressors, where the things that drown out on your head the gun noise, what is the purpose of having a suppressor other than for, if you're trying to be found, people not knowing where you are? That's what they're going to say. How do you combat that?
So the law enforcement that responded on the scene all said that they were able to find him based on the sound of his gunshots. So even if he was using a suppressor at the scene, they were still able to track him down based on that noise. A lot of folks, one of the witnesses claimed that, it sounded like a nail gun. Part of that has to do with the context. If you're sitting at your desk, and you hear loud noises, you're not necessarily going to associate that with gunfire because it's not something that you think is happening or would be happening near you. Same thing happened with myself and my girlfriend at our home in Atlanta. I live in Midtown. A couple months ago, there was a shooting about a third of a mile away from our house. We heard a lot of gunfire. She looked at me and said, well, that sounds like fireworks. And I said, nope, that sounds like gunfire, something that I'm around constantly, but she isn't. You're not born with this idea of being able to hear and identify the sound of a gunshot. It's something that if you're not around, you're not going to know what that is in the context, or especially out of the context of being near a shooting range or something like that. The idea that the suppressor somehow assisted him in his killing spree is just unequivocally false. And law enforcement and the police chief in Virginia Beach have both noted that.
Well, Knox, let me ask you this. And by the way, we're with Knox Williams, and thanks for coming on today, Knox. I appreciate it. President of the American Suppressors Association, ASA. Now, Knox, let's get off the suppressors and go to this special session in general. So Governor Northam, we call him Governor Tunnels because he really can't go out in public. He has to go in and out of the mansion through a tunnel, so we call him Governor Tunnels. You can't really see the guy. By the way, he didn't go to the dinner, the big gala dinner. They didn't want his check, and he's basically in hiding. But he's having this special session, and a lot of people say it's a gun grab. Jennifer Wexton is his liaison, very liberal, newly elected freshman congresswoman in Northern Virginia. A lot of people say that it's going to go beyond any common sense legislation, and it's an opportunity for the Democrats to take advantage of a tragedy and try to restrict gun ownership in Virginia. Sum this up for us.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly what it is. This is all about control, and it's a political stunt to take the headlines away from the political crises that Governor Northam, his attorney general, and his lieutenant governor are currently facing. Credit where credit's due. I mean, they're savvy politicians. We're here talking about gun control proposals that Governor Northam himself admitted a couple days ago would not have prevented this shooting in Virginia Beach. It was a savvy move, but nonetheless, look at it for what it is. This is absolutely an attempt to abridge the Second Amendment rights of Virginians and take away as many guns as they can.
So what is your expectations going into this? I mean, obviously, the box that Governor Tunnels put the Republicans in is we have this tragedy in Virginia Beach. And as you know, both sides of the aisle, this is just not, I'm not going to blame the Democrats here, Knox Williams, but both sides of the aisle have this saying that don't let a tragedy go to waste. So the objective, it seems to me, of Governor Tunnels and the Democrats is to put forth a gun legislation restriction agenda in this special session on July 9th that they can then take into the fall election in some of these key swing districts in their gambit to take over the House and the Senate, turning Virginia completely blue, basically not like New York State is, and we just see what happened there. So that's what they're attempting to do. And Republicans under fire, a lot of them becoming wobbly-kneed, want to compromise somehow so they can look like they're sensitive and they're common sense, and they're trying to work with Democrats and finding common sense things that they can do that they'll have minimum pushback on. Suppressors fall right in that category. All right, let's give that to the Democrats, whatever. No suppressors. We'll restrict them. We can say that we compromise, and we can all move on and get back to Kathy Tran, third term, late abortions, which was an issue they were winning. How do you respond to that reality?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think with the Democrats' intentions, you hit it on the head. This is something that I don't think that they expect to win in the special session, but that they're absolutely intending to campaign off of. And when you look at the razor-thin majority that the Republicans hold in both the House and the Senate in Virginia, the House, it was decided by pulling straws, literally. That's something, especially in light of the recent redistricting from the folks out in California who completely gerrymandered that map in favor of the Democrats. They think that this is their meal ticket, and that's how they're not letting this tragedy go to waste. As far as the Republicans, I think that we're going to be good there, but we need constituents to reach out to their legislators and say, hey, don't take my guns away. Don't take my ability to protect my hearing away when I'm shooting. None of this would have changed the situation in Virginia Beach. This is not good policy. Reacting in a knee-jerk fashion and taking away constitutional rights from Virginians is not the way that legislators should be moving. And if those legislators feel comfortable and know that they're going to get a good turnout, if they're hearing from their constituents saying, hey, stay strong, that's how we win this. We really need people to get involved on the ground out there. And we've got a way on our website for people to do that for anyone who is interested.
Where do they go?
AmericanSuppressorAssociation.com.
AmericanSuppressorAssociation.com. Here's the thing, Knox, and I appreciate you coming on today. Here's my position on this. I don't think the Republicans should compromise one bit here, because I think that just sets them up for a slippery slope. I think they've got an opportunity in this special session to articulate their views on gun ownership and the fact that none of the things that the liberals are proposing, or I call the gun grabbers, have anything to do with saving any lives anywhere. It's simply a political agenda to get guns out of the hands of people so we can become like the UK or Australia. That's what they want. I think the Republicans need to call them on it and hit them head on with it, because I think once you start compromising on suppressors or this or that, they're going to lose the argument. I think this is an opportunity for them to stand up and defend why they believe any of these things is blatant incrementalism that is going to lead to a further grab of your guns. Because the way the Democrats are going to go into this is, hey, it's common sense, right? Who should be able to buy 10 guns a month? Why do you have to have a silencer? Why do you have to have an assault weapon? Why do you have to have a high-powered rifle with, a 50 magazine clip, right? Why do you have to do this? That's going to be their argument, and the Republicans are going to have to articulate something in return. Hey, Knox, I got to go. John Fredericks Radio Network. Go to AmericanSuppressorsAssociation.com.